Dear student, today I will discuss about a new chapter, that is your chemistry in everyday life. At first I will discuss about the chemical in medicine. Let me discuss about medicine and drugs. Medicine and drugs. There is a difference between medicine and drugs. The definition of medicine is the chemical substance which are used for the treatment of diseases and reducing suffering from pain is called medicine. That means medicines are basically used for the treatment of disease, and also it helps to reduce the pain of a patient. On the other hand, if you think about the drugs are the active ingredient of the medicine. That means medicine is made by the help of drugs. In medicine, the active part is your drugs. So we can write another point: all medicine are drugs. But remember another point: all drugs are not medicine. All drugs are not medicine. Medicine can alter the body function upon intake. So we can write also here another point: drugs are the active ingredient of medicine. Along with also we can write another point that drugs alter the body function upon intake. That means when we take drugs, then your body function changes. But after taking medicine, the body function remains constant. We can write another point about the medicine: it do not causes stupefaction, but drugs causes stupefaction. It causes stupefaction. Medicine do not causes addiction. It do not causes addiction and has negligible toxicity. But if you think about the drugs causes addiction, and it have also side effect. When you will take drugs, then it have many side effects and causes side effects. These are the difference between medicine and drugs. Sometimes a 2-mark question asked in the exam: what is the difference between drugs and medicine? Next I will discuss some important drugs. At first I will discuss about the analgesia. This is an important drug. This drug is generally used for the treatment of relieving pain. So we can write the chemical substance which is used called analgesia. There are two types of analgesia. One is your non-narcotic, another is your narcotic. So we can write analgesia can be classified into two types. Such as number one is your non-narcotic, second is your narcotic. At first I will discuss about the non-narcotic drugs. This type of drugs are not potent and do not causes addiction, so we can write this type of drugs are not potent and do not causes addiction. This type of drugs are used to release the skeletal pain like arteries. So you can write this type of drugs are effective in relieving skeletal pain like arteries. These type of drugs are also used as an antipyretic, so you can write this type of drugs are also used as antipyretics. In the next topics we discuss about what is antipyretics. Antipyretics are the chemicals which used to decrease the temperature. As a result, these drugs are also effective in reducing fever and preventing platelet. There are many types of chemical substance which are used both as analgesia and antipyretic. So we can write there are many drugs which are used both as antipyretics and analgesia. The examples of non-narcotic drugs which act both antipyretic and analgesia are paracetamol, aspirin, Novalgin, phenacetin, analgin, Combiflam. These are the examples of non-narcotic drugs which act both analgesia and antipyretic. These are also used for the relieving of skeletal pain like arteries. There are many examples of narcotic drugs. These are also considered the narcotic drugs. So we can write another examples of narcotic drugs, but they are not used as an antipyretic. They are used only for analgesia purpose. Other examples are also we can write butadiene. These are the examples of non-narcotic drugs. Next I will discuss about the narcotic drugs. What is a narcotic drug? These type of drugs produce analgesia and sleep. If you take high dose of such type of drugs, then unconsciousness feels by the patient. So we can write a point, and causes unconsciousness in high dose. These are the mainly opium and its a product such as heroin, morphine, codeine, marijuana. These type of analgesia are used to relieve post-operative pain, cardiac pain, pain related to childbirth and terminal cancer. This is all about your analgesia. Now I will discuss about the next drugs, that is your antipyretic. These drugs are used for lowering the temperature of the patient which suffered by the fever. So we can write the chemical substance which are used to lowering the temperature of the body in high fever are called antipyretics. There are many examples of antipyretics. The examples of antipyretics are aspirin, paracetamol, phenacetin. These are the examples of antipyretics. Next I will discuss about the another drug, that is your antibiotics. The word antibiotics is derived from the word antibiosis, which means survival of fittest. Antibiotics are the chemicals which are generally derived from living cells or produced from living cells, and it is used to inhibiting the life process or destroy the microorganism. So we can write a point, the chemical substance which are produced or derived from living cell and capable of inhibiting the life process or destroying the microorganism are called antibiotics. The first antibiotics is discovered by Alexander Fleming in 1929 from Mount Penicillium notatum. There are many classification of antibiotic in different way. At first I will discuss about the first classification. Antibiotic can be classified into two types, such as bactericidal antibiotic. Such as number one is bactericidal antibiotics. Number two is bacteriostatic antibiotics. First is your bactericidal antibiotics, second is your bacteriostatic antibiotics. Bactericidal antibiotics are generally used for kill the microorganism. On the other hand, bacteriostatic antibiotics are used to stop the growth of microorganism. First is your bactericidal antibiotic. And what are the examples of bactericidal antibiotics? These antibiotics are used to kill the microorganism. And what are the examples of bactericidal antibiotics? Penicillin, streptomycin, aminoglycosides. There are many examples of bactericidal antibiotics. Next I will discuss about the bacteriostatic antibiotics. These antibiotics are used to check or stop the growth of microorganism. Bactericidal antibiotics are used to kill the microorganism, while bacteriostatic antibiotics are used to stop the growth of microorganism. There are many examples of bacteriostatic antibiotics. These are tetracycline, erythromycin. You can think about the other example also. Chloraphenicol. These are the examples of bacteriostatic antibiotics. Antibiotics also classified into two types, such as number one is your narrow spectrum antibiotic, number two is your broad spectrum antibiotic. First is your narrow spectrum antibiotics. Second is your broad spectrum antibiotics. At first I will discuss about the narrow spectrum antibiotics. These antibiotics active against a selected group of bacteria. So we can write these antibiotics are active against a selected group of bacterial type. These antibiotics are active against a selected group of bacterial type disease. Next point is your these antibiotics are used for the specific infection. That means for a particular disease, for a particularly narrow spectrum antibiotic is used. If a person suffered by many types of disease, then narrow spectrum cannot act for this, because narrow spectrum only act for a particular disease. So we can write these antibiotics are used for the specific infection. Next point is these antibiotics have less ability to cause super infection. That means these antibiotics do not use for super infection disease. If a person suffered by very super infection disease, then these antibiotics cannot be used, because these antibiotics do not respond to cure the patient from super infection. These antibiotics cause less resistance to bacteria. That means these antibiotics do not respond to the bacteria more effectively. The examples of narrow spectrum are erythromycin, clarithromycin, clindamycin, vancomycin. These are the examples of narrow spectrum antibiotics. Next I will discuss about the broad spectrum antibiotics. The word broad clearly indicates that it is used for the wide range disease caused by the bacteria. So we can write a point, the term broad spectrum refers to the antibiotics that acts against a wide range of diseases caused by the bacteria. If the disease range is wide and that caused by the bacteria, then we generally use the broad spectrum antibiotics. Next point is it acts against the gram positive and gram negative bacteria. So we can write it acts against both the gram positive and gram negative negative bacteria. This type of antibiotic generally used when the disease caused by the bacteria do not respond to the narrow spectrum antibiotic. So we can write this type of antibiotics are used when the diseases caused by the bacteria do not respond to the narrow spectrum antibiotic. These type of antibiotics are generally used for superinfection, where the multi-type of bacteria causing the illness of a patient, then you use broad spectrum antibiotic. Remember an important point: when a disease is not cured for a long time, then in such case we generally use broad spectrum antibiotic. So we can write a point: these antibiotics are used for superinfection where there are multi type of bacteria causing illness. In such case, broad spectrum antibiotics are used. The example of broad spectrum antibiotics are aminoglycosides. Remember, except streptomycin, all aminoglycosides are considered as the broad spectrum antibiotics. Next is your ampicillin. This is also a broad spectrum antibiotic. The other example are amoxicillin, ticagrelin, chloramphenicol, tetracyclines, quinolones, that is your ciprofloxacin, etc. are the example of broad spectrum antibiotics. Antibiotics are also classified into two types. So we can write antibiotics are also classified into two types. Such are number one is your gram positive bacteria antibiotic. Number two is your gram negative bacteria antibiotic. Gram negative bacteria antibiotic. At first, I will discuss about the gram positive bacteria antibiotic. These antibiotics act against the gram positive bacteria. That means they are used for the treatment of the disease which is caused by the gram positive bacteria. So we can write these antibiotics act against the gram positive bacteria. There are many examples of gram positive bacteria antibiotic. The examples are teicoplanin, vancomycin, telavancin, etc. These are the examples of gram positive bacteria. Next, I will discuss about the gram negative bacteria antibiotics. This type of antibiotics are generally used for the treatment of the disease which is caused by the gram-negative bacteria. So we can write these antibiotics are against the gram-negative bacteria. The example of gram-negative bacteria is moxifloxacin. These all about the classification of antibiotic. Next I will discuss about the condition for a chemical substance to be antibiotic. What are the conditions for a chemical substance to be antibiotic? Under certain condition we can use an chemical to be an antibiotic. So what are the conditions for a chemical to be antibiotic? Condition for a chemical to be antibiotics. What are the conditions? First condition is the antibiotic must be a product of metabolism. Next point, the chemical must act against the pathogens. So we can write it must act against the pathogen. Next point is at low concentration of the chemical, the role of the chemical is more effective. That means we can write it is a more effective at low concentration. It has no toxic side effect. That means the chemical which is said to be antibiotic have no side effect. It is a more stable and stored for a long time for a long time. These are the conditions for a chemical to be antibiotic. Next I will discuss some important antibiotic and its role. Important antibiotics. At first I will discuss about the first antibiotic, that is your penicillin. It causes fatal coma. It is more effective for pneumonia, bronchitis, sore throat, and other diseases caused by cocci and some gram-positive bacteria. Next I will discuss about the another important antibiotic, that is streptomycin. It is more effective for tuberculosis, throat and lungs infection, pneumonia, meningitis. So we can write it is more effective for tuberculosis, meningitis, pneumonia, throat and lungs infection. infection. Next important antibiotic is tetracyclines. It is more effective against the diseases caused by bacteria, virus, protozoa, parasites. Next, another important antibiotic is chloramphenicol. It is also considered as chloromycetin. It is a fast chemically synthesized on a commercial scale. It is more effective for the treatment of typhoid, dysentery, aquatic fever, urinary infection, meningitis and pneumonia. It is all about your antibiotics. Next I will discuss about the another important drugs, that is your antiseptic. The word septic is derived from the word septicus, which means rot or putrefy. So we can write the word septic is derived from the Greek word septicus, which means putrefy or rot. Septicus means putrefy or rot. What is it? Antiseptic. Antiseptic are the chemical substances which are used to kill the microorganism or stop the growth of the microorganism. But remember, it is not harmful to the living human tissue or prevent the growth of microorganism, but not harmful to the living human tissues are called antiseptic. The examples of antiseptic are Dettol, Savlon, Acreflavin, Gennadian Violet, Mercurochrome, boric acid, tincture of iodine, chloramine T, iodoform, potassium permanganate, sopramycin, bithionyl, salol, etc. are the example of antiseptic. Antiseptics are not harmful to the living human tissue. and it is safely applied to the wounds, cuts, ulcers, etc. So we can write it is not harmful to the living human tissues and safely applied on wounds, cuts, ulcers, diseased skin surface. The antiseptic are also used to remove the bad odor resulting from the bacterial decomposition on the body or in the mouth. So these type of drops are generally used in deodorant, breath purifier, face powder. Therefore, the antiseptic are also used within deodorant, face powders and breath purifiers, etc. Let me discuss some important antiseptic and its uses. Iodoform is an antiseptic and it is used for the treatment of wound. So we can write for wound. Salol is used for the treatment of throat, alimentary infection. 2.5% mercurochrome is used for the treatment of skin, mucous surface and wound. This is all about your antiseptic. Next I will discuss about another important drug, that is your disinfectant. This is also one important drug. It is used to kill the microorganism or stop the growth of microorganism. But remember, it is harmful to the living human tissue. So we can write the chemicals which are used to kill the microorganism or stop the growth of microorganism but harmful to the living human tissues are called disinfectants. The disinfectants are generally used for the sterilization of inanimate objects. So we can write the disinfectants are used for the sterilization of inanimate objects like instruments, utensils, drains, floors, sanitary fitting, etc. The disinfectants are harmful to the human body, so it cannot be applied on the skin. So we can write the disinfectants are harmful to living tissues. So the disinfectants are not used on the skin. Some examples of disinfectant are phenol, hydrogen peroxide, next is your chlorine, sulfur dioxide, bleaching powder, etc. These are the examples of disinfectant. Some substance can act both disinfectant and antiseptic. That depends upon the concentration of the substance. So we can write some substance can act both disinfectant and antiseptic, which depends upon concentration. For example, phenol play both disinfectant and antiseptic. 1% of phenol act as a disinfectant, while 0.2% of phenol act as a antiseptic. So we can write 1% phenol act as a disinfectant, but 0.2% phenol act as a antiseptic. Look at that. Here the percentage of phenol is more. That means it acts as a disinfectant. If I will reduce the percentage to 0.2, then it acts as a antiseptic. Only difference is your harmful to the human living tissue. If it is harmful to the human living tissue, then it is considered as the disinfectant. If not harmful to the human living tissue, that is considered as the antiseptic. That is the difference between disinfectant and antiseptic. This is all about your disinfectant. Next I will discuss about antacid. The antacids are the chemical substance which reduce and neutralize the acidity and raise the pH up to an appropriate level in the stomach is called antacid. So we can write the compounds which reduce or neutralize the acidity and raise the pH up to an appropriate level in the stomach is called antacids. There are many examples of antacids. Generally we think about the base. Now I will think about the examples of antacids. Baking soda plays an important role of antacids. Magnesium oxide, magnesium hydroxide, magnesium carbonate, magnesium trisilicate, calcium carbonate, aluminum hydroxide, aluminum amino acetate, aluminum amino acetate. These are the examples of antacid. Next I will discuss about the antihistamine. Antihistamine. These are the anti-allergic drugs which used for the treatment of allergy. So we can write the antihistamine are the anti-allergy drugs which is used for the treatment of allergy like skin rashes, inflammation of tissues, asthma, itching of hives due to release of histamine in the body. These antihistamines are used for treatment of number one is hay fever, number two is sneezing, itching of your eye, nose, throat, like this. Post operative vomiting, etc. There are many examples of antihistamine. The examples are, these are the example of antihistamine. Next I will discuss about the tranquilizer. Tranquilizer is a neurological active drugs. So we can write these are the neurological active drugs which reduce the stress and fatigue. Which reduce the stress and the fatigue. The tranquilizers are classified into three types. The tranquilizer are classified into three types. Such are number one is your sedative. Number one is your sedative. Number two is your antidepressant. Number three is your hypnotic. These are the three types of tranquilizer. One is your sedative tranquilizer, second is your antidepressant, third is your hypnotic tranquilizer. At first, I will discuss about the sedative tranquilizer. Sedative tranquilizer are used for violent patient, that is your mentally upset patient. Some examples of sedative tranquilizer are Clampos, Equinil, etc. The sedative tranquilizer. Next I will discuss about the antidepressant tranquilizer. The antidepressant tranquilizer are called mood elevator, and these type of tranquilizer are applicable to the patient which loses self confidence and depressed. Some example of antidepressant tranquilizer are amphetamine, methamphetamine. These are the examples of antidepressant tranquilizer. Next, I will discuss about the hypnotic tranquilizer. These tranquilizer are habit forming drugs. Some examples of hypnotic tranquilizer are luminal, seponal, which produces sleep. These are all about your tranquilizer. Next, I will discuss about the antimicrobial. Antimicrobials are the drugs which destroy and prevent the development or inhibit the growth of the microorganisms like bacteria, virus, fungi and other parasites. So we can write it is defined as the drugs which used to destroy or prevent development, inhibit the pathogen action of microorganisms like virus, fungi, bacteria and other parasites. Examples of antimicrobials are some antibiotics are also considered as antimicrobial, and the antibiotics are penicillin, tetracycline, ofloxacin. These antibiotics are also considered as the antimicrobial. Next is your some sulfadox. Some sulfadox are also considered as the antimicrobial. Sulfanilamide, sulfapyridine. The antimicrobial disease can be controlled by the antimicrobial diseases can be controlled by number one is by using the drugs which kill the microorganism in our body. First point is by using the drugs which kill the microorganism in our body. Second is by inhibiting the growth of microorganism by using bacteriostatic drugs. Next is your by improving the immunity power. By improving the immunity power. By the following ways we can control the antimicrobial diseases. Next I will discuss about the anti-fertility drugs. It is one type of a drugs which is used to stop the pregnancy in women. So we can write it is defined as the chemical substance which is used to check the pregnancy in women having control over the female menstrual cycle and ovulation. The example of anti-fertility drugs are. These are the examples of anti-fertility drugs. This is all about your chemical in medicine. Next I will discuss about the cleansing agent. Basically we think about the soap and detergent. At first I will discuss about soap. What is soap? Soaps are the sodium or potassium salt of higher fatty acid. So we can write soap are the sodium or potassium salt of higher fatty acids like your stearic acid, oleic acid, palmitic acid, like your what? Stearic acid. Next is your oleic acid. Next is your palmitic acid, etc. Soaps are the sodium or potassium salt of higher fatty acid like stearic acid, oleic acid, palmitic acid, etc. Soaps can be prepared by conveniently method. Soaps are conveniently made by stirring the liquid or melted fatty acid with the caustic potash or caustic soda. These two are called lye, which are called lye. Suppose I will take a higher fatty acid, that is your triglycerine. Now it is subjected to reaction with the sodium hydroxide, that is your caustic soda. The structure of triglycerine is your this is the structure of triglycerine. This is the structure of triglycerine. It is subjected to reaction with the sodium hydroxide, then gives glycerol. This is the structure of glycerol. With the glycerol, also sodium salt of stearic acid is formed. That is your sodium stearate. That is your C17H35 CONA. That is your said to be sodium stearate. This is considered as your soap. When tristearine is subjected to reaction with sodium hydroxide, then glycerol and sodium stearate is formed, which is considered as your soap. Next, I will discuss about the classification of soap. Soap can be classified into different types, but we generally think about two main types. So we can write soap can be classified into two types, such as number one is your washing soap, another is your toilet soap, second is your toilet soap. There are two types of soap, one is your washing soap, another is your toilet soap. At first, I will discuss about the washing soap. Washing soaps are generally made from cheaper fatty acids like your maho oil, rosmi, etc. So we can write these soaps are prepared from cheaper fatty acid like maho oil, rosni, etc. For this type of soap, we generally use sodium hydroxide for saponification. So we can write for this type of soap, sodium hydroxide is used for saponification. In this type of soap, slightly excess of alkali is present. So we can write this type of soap contain slightly excess alkali. In this type of soap, sodium silicate is used as a filler. So you can write sodium silicate is used as a filler in this type of soap. In this type of soap, cheap perfumes are added to remove the smell of the raw material. So you can write a little cheap perfume are added to remove the smell of raw material. To increase the mass of the soap, generally cheap starch and fine clay are used. So you can write cheap starch and fine clay are added to increase the mass of the soap. This type of soaps are generally used for cleaning of the cloth and other cleaning purpose. So you can write this type of soap are generally used for cleaning of cloth and other cleaning purpose. This type of soap do not use on the skin because it contains excess amount of alkali which give harmful to the skin. So you can write this type of soap cannot be used for bathing purpose because this type of soap contain little excess of alkali, which is harmful to the skin. Next, I will discuss about the toilet soap. This type of soap are prepared from the quality type of fatty acid that is obtained from animal or vegetable. So you can write this type of soaps are prepared from quality animal or vegetable fats or a mixture of both. That means you can prepare the soap from only animal fats or from only vegetable fats, or you can prepare the soap from a mixture of both animal and vegetable fats. After saponification of this type of soaps are made free from alkali by the help of salting out process. So we can write after saponification this type of soap are made free from alkali by salting out process, which is already covered in the first year course. Some colors and perfumes are added in this type of soap during threading or crushing. Some examples are sodium stearate. The formula is your C17H35CONA. Next is your sodium olate. The formula is your C17H33CONA. Next is your sodium palmitate. The formula is your C15H31CONA. What are the advantages of soap and what are the disadvantages of soap? At first I will discuss about the advantages of soap. Soaps are biodegradable. That means it is easily degraded by the microorganisms. So you can write soaps are biodegradable. Soaps are eco-friendly. They do not harmful to the environment. That means they do not causes the environmental pollution. So you can write soaps are eco-friendly. These are the advantages of soap. Then what are the disadvantages of soap? There are two types of water. One is your hard water, another is your soft water. But soap is not suitable for hard water. That means they do not give foam in hard water. As a result, the cleansing property of soap is very less as compared to the detergent. So you can write weak cleansing properties than detergent. There are many types of soaps are also present. We can think about that type of soap. Soap powder or scouring soap contain soap scouring agent, that is what we think about the abrasive agent, such as powder pumic or finely divided sand and builder like sodium carbonate and trisodium phosphate. Remember an important point. This point can be written in the note part. Soap powder or scouring soap contains soap scouring reagent, that is your abrasive reagent, such as powder pumic or finely divided sand and builder like sodium carbonate and trisodium phosphate. There are different types of soaps are present. At first we discuss about the medicated soap. Medicated soaps are used for curing the skin disease, and medicated soaps generally contain some medicinal substance. There is also another type of soap, that is your shaving soap, which generally contain glycerol to avoid rapid dryness of skin. There is also another type of soap, that is a laundry soap, which generally contain filler for the better washing of the cloth. You know very well, some soaps are transparent. This can be prepared by the help of alcohol. So we can write transparent soaps are prepared by dissolving the toilet soap in alcohol and evaporating the filtrate. Next is your magnesium soap. Magnesium soaps are used for dry cleaning. Marine soaps are prepared from coconut oil and palm oil. Coconut oil and palm oil. Soaps that floats over the water can be made by beating tiny air bubbles into the product before they hardening. This is all about your soap. Next I will discuss about the detergent. Detergents are also called soapless soap or it is also called cyanidants. Cyanidants. Detergent are either sodium salt of alkali hydrogen sulfate or sodium salt of long chain alkyl benzene sulfonic acid. Here the alkyl group contain 12 to 18 carbon atom. So we can write here alkyl group contain 12 to 18 carbon atom. Next I will discuss about the classification of detergent. Detergents are classified into three types. One is your cationic detergent, next is your anionic detergent, next is your neutral detergent. So we can write detergent can be classified into three types, such as number one is your cationic detergent, number two is your anionic detergent, and next is your neutral detergent. At first, I will discuss about the cationic detergent. The cationic active surface detergent are those which contain cationic hydrophilic group. The example of cationic detergent are N-benzyl quaternary ammonium chloride. Next I will discuss about the anionic detergent. What is anionic detergent? The anionic active surface detergents are those which contain anionic hydrophilic group. The example of anionic detergent are sodium dodecyl sulfate, sodium paradodecyl benzene sulfonate. These are the example of anionic detergent. Next I will discuss about the neutral detergent. Remember an important point. Cationic detergent contain cationic hydrophilic group, anionic detergent contain anionic hydrophilic group, but neutral detergent do not contain any ion. So we can write neutral detergent do not contain any ion, but they can form hydrogen bond with the water molecule. So we can write, but the polar group can form hydrogen bond with the water molecule. The example of neutral detergent are penta, erythritol, monostirate. This is an example of neutral detergent. Next I will discuss what are the advantages and disadvantages of detergent. At first I will discuss about the advantages of detergent. The detergent can be used even in hard water. First point is they are used in the hard water. They are used in acidic medium. They are used in acidic medium. Detergents are more soluble in water than soap. Detergent shows more cleansing property than soap. Detergent can be prepared. Detergents can be prepared from hydrocarbon which is produced from petroleum product. Next I will discuss about the disadvantages of detergent. Remember, they are non-biodegradable. First point is they are non-biodegradable. They do not degrade by the help of microorganisms. They can stay long time. They are harmful to aquatic life. The detergent also inhibits the oxidation of organic substance present in the water. So we can write it also inhibit the oxidation of organic substance present in the water. These are the disadvantages of the detergent. Next I will discuss an important question which is always come in the exam, that is the difference between soap and detergent. Always come 2 mark in the exam. What is soap, what is detergent, and what are the difference? Soap are the sodium or potassium salt of higher fatty acid. Remember, detergent are not the sodium or potassium salt of higher fatty acid. It is either sodium salt of alkyl hydrogen sulfate or sodium salt of long chain alkyl benzene sulfanoic acid. Soaps are prepared from natural oil and fat, but remember, detergent are formed from hydrocarbon which is obtained from petroleum product. Detergents are formed from hydrocarbon which is formed from petroleum product. Soaps cannot suitable for acidic medium, but detergent suitable in acidic medium. Soaps are biodegradable. But detergents are non-biodegradable. Soaps can form insoluble salt with calcium and magnesium, which is present in hard water. So we can write, therefore soap cannot used in hard water. On the other hand, the calcium and magnesium salts are dissolved in water. That means we think about the calcium and magnesium salt of detergent. This is all about your difference between soap and detergent. Next I will discuss about the cleansing action of soap and detergent. Cleansing action of soap and detergent. Remember an important point, the cleaning action of soap and detergent are called detergent action or detergency. So we can write the cleaning action of soap and detergents are called detergency or detergent action. There are two parts. Of a soap or detergent. One is your polar part, and the second is your non-polar part. That means the detergent or soap have two parts. One is your polar part and another is your non-polar part. The polar part always soluble in the water and the non-polar part always soluble in the oil. Let me explain with the example. Suppose I will take a detergent. CH3, CH2, 10, CH2 bond O, S, O2, O, Na plus O minus. This is the formula of a detergent. This is your said to be non-polar part. Up to this, this is your said to be non-polar part, and this is up to this is your said to be polar part. That means this part will be soluble in oil and this part will soluble in water. Like that, detergent we can also take the example of a soap. CH3, CH2, 15, bond CH2 bond C double bond O bond O minus Na plus. This is an example of soap, and up to this part is called your non-polar part, and this part up to this part is called your polar part. This part soluble in your oil, and this part soluble in your water. That means when we immersed a dirty cloth, then the oily substance dark particle must be attached to this part, and the another particles that is which are polar part is attached to the polar part of the soap. Remember the cleansing action of soap. The cleansing action of soap or detergent takes place in two steps. Step one is in the first step, a dirty cloth is immersed in a mixture of soap and water. Then what will happen? The surface tension of the water decreases, and the oil drop bearing the dirt particle is weighted on the surface, followed by the formation of the associated colloid, that is the formation of the micelle. So we can write in this step the dirty cloth is immersed in the mixture of soap and water. Then the surface tension of water decreases, and the oil droplet bearing dirt is weighted over the surface, followed by the formation of associated colloids, that is the formation of micelle. Then what will be the structure of micelle? Suppose I will take a oily or greasy dirt present in the dirty cloth. Then what will happen? It is your non-polar part of the dirt particles. Here we take the soap solution. That means at first the non-polar part of the soap is attached with the non-polar part of the dirt and form a micelle. Suppose I will draw like this. This is your chain up to O minus, then here N plus will be attached. This is your CH3, CH2 up to O minus, your minus is written here, and the Na plus is written like this. All the non-polar part of the soap connected to the non-polar part of the dirt and form a micelle like this. These are the soap molecules. Your minus is present, your Na plus is written. Look at that, the non-polar part of the soap molecule connected to the non-polar part of the dirt, that is your oil or grease particles, and form this type of micelle. When you will wash the cloth, then this micelle is removed as a foam and the cloth will be now clean. In the step 2, due to decrease of surface tension between oil and water, a stable emulsion of oil in water is formed. These are the steps for the cleansing action of soap or detergent. This is all about the cleansing agent, that is your soap and detergent. Now I will discuss about chemical inputs. Chemicals inputs. Here at first I will discuss about the food additive. What is food additives? The chemical substance which are used to improve the life, taste, odor, appearance and nutritive value of food is called food additive. There are many food additives. And these are first is your food preservative, second is your artificial sweetener, next is your food color, next is your flavoring agent, fortifiers, emulsifier, foaming agent. At first, I will discuss about the food preservative. Food preservative are the chemical substance which is used to protect the food from the microorganisms like bacteria, yeast, molds, etc. So you can write the chemical substance which is used to protect the food from microorganisms like bacteria, yeast, molds, etc. are called food preservative. There are different type of food preservative. First is your antioxidant food preservative. Next is your anti-ripening food preservative. Next is your antimicrobial food preservative. At first I will discuss about the antioxidant preservative. This type of preservative are generally used to retard the chemical reaction and breakdown of the food when the food come in contact with the heat, light and other substance. So you can write this type of preservative are used to retard the chemical reaction and breakdown of food when the food come in contact with the oxygen, light, heat and certain material. There are many examples of antioxidant food preservative. Number one is your butylated hydroxyanisole. It is shortly represented as BHA. Next is your butylated hydroxytoluene, that is shortly represented as BHT. These are used as an antioxidant preservative. Next is your tertiary butyl hydroquinone. Next is your propyl gallate. These are the examples of antioxidant preservative. Next I will discuss about the anti-ripening agent. These anti-ripening agent food preservative are generally used. They are used to protect the foods like fruits and vegetable from ripening. These anti-ripening agents attack the enzymes which causes metabolism after harvesting. So we can write these chemicals attack the enzyme which causes metabolism of the food after harvesting. Some examples of anti-ripening agent are citric acid, ascorbic acid and disodium salt of ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. These are the example of anti-ripening agent. Next I will discuss about the antimicrobial preservative. These preservatives are generally inhibit the growth of microorganisms like bacteria, yeast and mold. So we can write these chemicals are used to inhibit the growth of microorganisms like bacteria, yeast and molds. Examples of antimicrobial preservative are sorbates, ester of parahydroxy benzoic acid, sodium nitrite, calcium propionate, sodium benzoate are the example of antimicrobial preservative. This is all about your preservative. Next I will discuss about the artificial sweetening agent. These type of chemicals are generally used to increase the sweetness of the foods. So we can write these are the chemicals which give the sweetening effect of foods. That means increase the sweetness of the food and enhance its odor and flavor. At first, I will discuss about the saccharin. Its chemical name is orthosulfobenzoic imide. This is an example of artificial sweetening agent. It is insoluble in water, but remember the sodium salt of saccharin is highly soluble in water, so we can write but sodium salt of saccharin is highly soluble. It is 550 times sweeter than sugar on mass to mass. That means if you take 1 gram of sugar and 1 gram of saccharin, then the sweetness of 1 gram of saccharin is 550 times more than the sweetness of the 1 gram of sugar. It is biodegradable. It is biodegradable and do not give calorific value of food. It is a lifesaver of diabetics patient. It is released in urine, so more amount of saccharin is not present in our body. Next I will discuss about the another artificial sweetening agent, that is aspartame. It is the another artificial sweetening agent. It is methyl ester of dipeptide derivatives derived from phenyl alanine and aspartic acid. It is about 150 times sweeter than sucrose. It is unstable. It is unstable at cooking temperature, so it is not added during cooking of the food. It cannot be used in soft drink and cold food. Next artificial sweetening agent is allicin. Is a more stable than aspartame during cooking. It is 2000 times sweeter than sucrose, so it is very difficult to control the sweetness of allium. Next artificial sweetening agent is sucralose. It is a trichloro derivative of sucrose. It is stable at cooking temperature and baking temperature. It is about 600 times sweeter than sucrose. Next artificial sweetening agent is cyclamate, having chemical name N-cyclohexyl sulfamate. It is 7 times sweeter than sucrose. If you take a mixture of cyclamate and saccharin in 10:1, then the sweetness of the mixture is more than both saccharin and cyclamate. So you can write mixture of cyclamate and saccharin 10:1 found more sweeter than cyclamate and saccharin. This is all about the artificial sweetening agent. Next, I will discuss about the another food additive, that is your antioxidant. These chemicals are generally used in the processed food like potato, cheese, biscuit, etc. So we can write the chemical which are added to the processed food like potatoes, chips, biscuit, breakfast, cereal, to prevent the oxidation of fats and subsequent the spoilage of food. Some examples of antioxidant are butylated hydroxytoluene, that is shortly represented as BHT. Next is your butylated hydroxyanisole, that is shortly represented DHA. Next is your gallic acid. Next is your propyl gallate. These are the example of antioxidant. Sulfur dioxide and metabisulfite are used as preservative and also used as an antioxidant for wine, beer, sugar, syrups, dried foods and vegetable. This is all about your chemistry